You shouldn't wonder why people think you're an extreme right-winger, Tim.
Again, nobody gives a what people think of people who are interested in the truth.
Tim, you're purposely picking the worst case to talk about.
It's the best case to talk about it because of the nuances, because of how uneasy, because it's not black and white. We can dig into it. We can peel back the layers and actually talk about, okay, well, this part is bad, but that part is reasonable given what happened before. But in a vacuum, we wouldn't. All that stuff we can't talk about it if you're just going to scream racism and that's it. Unless you know, because Cenk, things aren't super easy. Not quite. I said Chauvin was about 100 pounds lighter than Floyd. He was only about 140 pounds. I mean, to be fair, that wouldn't stop him from killing somebody by kneeling on their neck. That's just not what happened. Captain Gooby says, as someone who's done a couple years of jiu-jitsu, it's also shameful no one had the balls to say that's not even a choke. One-sided blood chokes don't exist. Yeah, so you have the chokes where you're cutting off the air supply, but like what you'll see, like the rear naked choke that you see in UFC all the time. They have the head like that. And they're squeezing the arteries on the side of the neck, and so it's a blood choke, meaning you're choking the blood away from the head, and that's why they come to right away. Versus, if you're in like a DV situation, like strangling someone, that's a little bit more problematic, you know what I mean?
Because it gets like my honest opinion, sorry, but it's because you know that it's going to get more attention if you say it in the context of George Floyd.
Let's talk about Ahmaud Arbery.
All right, so there we have every single leftist. You cannot be a leftist and go into the Tim Cast compound without saying, oh, you do this because there's right-wingers in your audience. He did it. Alan Vigilin did it. When you did your show about neo-Nazis. And Lance from the Surfs did it. The only one, surprise, surprise, the only one who didn't take cheap shots like that as a lefty was Destiny. There's a reason I continue to follow him.
Okay.
I mean, these are...
Well, let's
you know that it's going to get more attention if you say it in the context of George Floyd.
Let's talk about
yeah, it's a damn it. I paused it at the same spot again. But yeah, it's a winning game tactic.
Sorry, but it's because you know that it's going to get more attention if you say it in the context of George Floyd.
Let's talk about Ahmaud Arbery.
Okay.
I mean, these are the high-profile stories that
Ahmaud Arbery, the guy who got shot jogging in the neighborhood.
I think jogging is a representation of your misinformation or your ignorance of the issue.
Now, I will preface that I don't necessarily fully agree with Tim's interpretation of the events. I do think that it will, I'll put a little bit more blame on the guys who actually were arrested. I don't think they deserve to. I don't think it was murder, and I don't think that it was, as the leftists make it seem. But I also think that it probably would have been the best for them to just not. But that being said, that's exactly the same way I feel about Kyle Rittenhouse. But Kyle Rittenhouse, 1,000%, unquestionable. Talk about not even debatable. That was self-defense. Nick says, I love that I know I can trust you to judge everything by high standards that I can completely agree with. Even if we would come to different conclusions on something, I wouldn't think you're wrong. Well, I mean, definitely always question me. There's a lot of shit that I don't know. Definitely always question me, but I do try to get it right. CT said, I mean, we already know that he was chewing on his bags. He was high as a kite. Didn't want to sit in the car and potentially had a heart attack. Floyd thing is truly sad. It absolutely is. Because again, those of you who smartly have never been drug addicts, if you know that you're getting arrested and you're addicted to a drug, you're not just afraid of being arrested. You're not just afraid of going to jail. You're not just afraid of the fines that are coming. You're not just afraid of, you know that you are in for at least 3 to 5 days of hell. Absolute hell. Because you're going to withdraw. So seemingly irrational behavior like, oh, I can't breathe, take me out of the car. Makes a lot of sense. Just anything in survival mode to keep me away from that situation where I'm going to be in a cell where nobody gives a shit and I cannot get my medicine. that's the reality of the world. That's the mindset that he was very likely. Obviously, I'm not clairvoyant, but that's probably what it was like. Rabbit said, I challenge anyone to believe the jogger narrative to go look at a Google map of the area he jogged. Ooh, if somebody can get me a link for that, we will definitely take a look.
Tim,
are you gonna?
Why people think you're a radical right winger?
That's
man.
fine.
Again, Cenk, nobody cares what they think about him. We care about the truth.
But if you don't know, why would you make the argument?
So what do you mean I don't know? I know the case. The guy, the two redneck racist sons of bitches who murdered him said that he was in the house that was being built, which, by the way, apparently tons of people had come by to see, hey, how's the construction going?
Yeah, in the middle of the night.
Wrong.
Right? So do they know that he was one of the how's the construction going? Well, they don't.
Never worked in construction. Actually, I worked in one. No. Yeah, never worked in construction, but I'm pretty sure that most construction jobs like that, like just a building a house, typically work in the 9 to 5 type area. Big projects, maybe, yeah, you're working through the night, you're working on the highway or whatever, but most jobs like that, don't think anybody's working at whatever time it was.
No, anything, because he didn't steal anything.
But
okay?
you're wrong.
So, but they see a black guy at a construction
site. That's something else. If I'm saying something that I feel confident in, and somebody just says flat out, you're wrong, the one thing I'm not going to do is continue talking. Because if I obviously started saying the thing, so I think I'm not wrong. And if you're saying I'm wrong, either, I'm really wrong about this, or you're about to point out something that I can show you exactly why I'm not wrong.
Cenk, and they're like, let's chase that son of a bitch down and shoot him.
I don't care what people think of me if I'm following the facts to try and figure out what happened and try and solve the problem, but you have already shown you don't know the case.
Yeah, that's total horse crap. Go ahead, defend the racist guys who murdered him. Go ahead.
How about
Again, it's all about points and games and winning the favor of these people instead of having the conversation. Stop trying to win an argument and just have the conversation.
I just describe what happened.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So a few weeks before the incident, a gun is stolen.
So, but not by that guy. But hey, the racist thought it must be the black guy.
How about the police then show a picture of him to various people in the neighborhood saying, this is our suspect of the burglaries that have been happening over the past several weeks.
Sounds like it's a little bit more reasonable to think that Ahmaud Arbery was who he was.
Except it wasn't, right?
No,
Ahmaud Arbery didn't do anything
was
wrong.
the suspect.
I never saw that, and that's
my point. You didn't.
At least 10.
Okay, so I don't believe you. B, I never saw it. C, there's.
But you see the problem of
no. You
didn't follow the case. Okay, I'm not making a moralistic statement on what
Tim,
happened.
so let's take your bullshit facts, so-called facts. Let's accept them as true, okay? So they show me a picture. Please come by my house and show me a picture of a black guy, and they say this might be a suspect in a robbery.
Okay.
If I see him, I'm not going to chase him down with a gun.
Okay, I agree, and that's exactly how I started this, saying that it's probably a better idea that they didn't chase him down with a gun. But once you've made that decision.
Because that means that there's a high chance that we're going to get into a conflict and someone's going to die. That's a lunatic thing to do.
Why did the guy who filmed it go to jail?
Second thing I'm not going to do is look at any black guy in the neighborhood and go, I bet that's him, man. Let's go grab our shot.
He just told you that they showed a picture. So unless you're assuming that, all black people look the same, so it must have been, then you're the racist. Rabbi said, MSM only released 7 seconds of security footage when we were told they had over 7 minutes. I wonder why. Most of my media said he never saw it, therefore it doesn't exist. Yup.
But I don't disagree.
Okay.
Why did the guy who filmed it go to prison?
Ooh.
I think that what they stated in that case was that he helped to chase the guy down. It wasn't the filming that was the issue. It was that he helped to corner the guy in his car as well, and that's why he was an accomplice.
So he didn't coordinate with him anyway.
Nope.
He saw the McMichaels chase after him, and so he said, I got to film this. He then gave the footage out, which showed what happened and resulted in the criminal charges, but they locked him up too.
So his intent was to be like, okay, I'm not a party to what's going on. I just want to, as a journalist in the crudest sense, I just want to document what is going on here. And I am going to offer this up to authorities. Be like, oh, thanks. Have a nice life in jail. Shout out to Guantech. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Good to see ya, brother. Say, listened to this earlier. Curious what I have to say. Welcome to the party.
If it were
but
not
he was
for-
an accomplice, brother.
But
so I read the stories about how he worked with those guys. He agreed with those guys.
He's a neighbor.
So if he was just a random neighbor that shot.
He was. So by your logic, Cenk, then anybody who ever films a TikTok of a crime happening should spend their life in jail?
What?
It out of his window. Why would he go to prison? Of course he shouldn't go to prison.
But
right?
that's the point. He didn't coordinate with them in any
Exactly.
way.
So yet now you're nitpicking the prosecution in that particular.
That's not nitpicking. That's the whole thing. Are you an accomplice or are you not an accomplice? That's not nitpicking. Let me guess. That's semantics, right?
Case about the guy who shot the video, but why are you like going out of your way to defend the most racist murderers in America? Then you shouldn't wonder why people think you're an extreme right winger, Tim.
Again, nobody gives a fuck what people think of people who are interested in the truth. And so while you're blinded by this need to be liked, like me, please, just agree with me, like me. We're over here looking at what the fuck is really going on.
Real with you.
I don't know who these guys are. I don't know anything about
You don't think that they're racist when they just chase down a black guy in the neighborhood and pull a shotgun on him?
You see,
he's not even armed, and then they murder him in cold blood, and you don't think that's racist?
You see,
what is your line for racism then?
Okay.
Why does it have to be racist? Even if it was, just a shitty situation. Like, what if it was all white guys? I don't understand where the race comes into it. There was a guy who was somewhere he wasn't supposed to be in the neighborhood. They had a picture of someone who at least looked similar, if it wasn't really him. And then I don't understand what's the race part. M169 said, I'm learning that Cenk has self-esteem issues. Yup. No one who has self-confidence and self-esteem worries about what others think. This is much bigger than Cenk. This is the entire liberal, the cultural liberal establishment. It's all about what how am I seen? What virtue am I signaling? That is, again, the game. This isn't about real life. This isn't about the truth. This isn't about anything except looking good and winning the game.
Okay. If there's a suspect in a crime and the police say, this is who we think he is, then you believe this man may have actually stolen the gun out of my truck. He may be armed. The police told the McMichaels not to pursue.
You
they
have
should
made
not have.
8 logical jumps there.
Like what? Like what?
There was a guy who was in the neighborhood. The cops showed me a black guy's picture. Then maybe he took something out of my car. Now I'm like way out in maybe
hold on,
land.
you're making mistakes.
And then, here comes a black guy in the neighborhood.
If there's no black guys that live in the neighborhood and they show you a picture of a black guy and then there's a black guy in the neighborhood late at night in a place where nobody's supposed to be, where is the racism?
Maybe he was the guy, but maybe my truck, and maybe let's go chase him down with a shotgun.
I didn't say they were right to do it.
Chase down anybody else in the neighborhood with a
I didn't say
shotgun?
they were-
Oh, look, there's a black guy. Let's go chase him down.
I didn't say they
Again, you're the only one entering the fact that he's black into this equation.
were right to do it.
Okay. All right. Then why are you bothering defending them? I don't get it.
You've taken this-
Unless you're trying to get attention of all the right wingers who go, oh, that was
Up.
Dilly dilly.
Projection. Oh, let me get rid of that. Wait.
Dilly dilly.
Projection drink.
Dilly dilly.
You're just trying to get the people to look like a certain way. This is like the 7th time he's brought this up. The 7th time he's brought this up. Bro, it's not about what people think. The reason, that's a good freeze frame. The reason that Tim got to the place that he was is because he said what he said without giving a fuck what people think. The reason that you have 5 times his subscribers and maybe 1/5, 1/6 of the views that he gets is because you worry about this shit. CT said virtue signaling. I was trying to remember that term earlier when I said social grandstanding. Yep, same shit. So the Soul said exactly. By Cenk's logic, every time a group of black people shoot and kill a white person, we should yell racist. Strangely enough, we don't see them calling that out. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder. I don't know. Hey, shout out to Insight of the Ages. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party. So Cenk is locked into his ideas. Dude needs to have his brain bopped by the truth. Very, very, very much agree. Thankfully, Anna's, been having a red pill awakening, and I do think it is rubbing off just a little bit on him, just a little bit. But I don't know how far it's going to take. Welcome to the party, brother. Goldentex said there were definitely a lot of Cenkisms in this episode. I will say that Tim kind of fumbled the ball in a couple areas as well, to be fair. So I was going to talk more about this at the end, but I think Tim knew. Tim knew. He was just like, I'm just going to give him the rope and let him himself. Because he didn't need to go hard. The perception of the average person who's not really into online media would see Tim and Cenk as, the rivals that are equal. That, Cenk is to the left what Tim is to the right. But you put them in the same room and you see this, then it's very clear that, okay, one of them cares about the truth. One of them cares about their actual messaging. One of them cares about reality. And one of them cares about winning a game.
Wasn't so bad, was it? Hey, Tim Pool's defending us.
Do you remember the Covington Catholic kids?
Remind
the
me.
kid on the steps of the Lincoln.
Yeah. And
they
knew when he caught the feelings.
Anybody not remember? Put a one in the chat if you don't remember the Covington kid.
And sued everybody and cried like a baby.
And how many people
cried like a baby? You blew up his fucking life for no reason.
Accused that kid of wrongdoing when it turns out he was actually confronted by Nathan Phillips and not the other way around.
We never made that mistake. And
exactly, Gooby, you got it.
You get something wrong, you just say it.
I'm not going to
get facts matter, right?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the case like Ahmaud Arbery or many of these others, or Breonna Taylor, I'm not going to start making declarative statements about the personal opinions of people I've never met and don't know anything about. I'm going to try and understand what the argument from the prosecution was. And guess what? The prosecution did not dispute that Ahmaud Arbery was a suspect in the felony burglaries. The prosecution argued.
I don't care.
Well, that's the point.
No,
I care
Tim,
about
and I'll
justice.
tell you why I don't care. So it's not just like I'm being flippant, right? It's because every time a black man is killed by either authorities or vigilantes, in the Ahmaud Arbery case, what right wingers do is, did you know that back in 7th grade he was once tardy? And we heard that.
Did anybody say that in this? I'm not saying that people don't do that. But did anybody in this conversation do that? That's right.
In 8th grade, he was smoking marijuana. He was evil and had it coming. Did you know George Floyd might have stolen $20 whole? Oh my God, these black people, they're so evil. Did you know that Trayvon Martin it was caught in school maybe smoking pot, and that's why Zimmerman had to murder him in cold blood. He had it coming. He had it coming.
So I can understand if
again. So where who said it? Yeah, Captain Gooby. When your opponent's saying dumb things, don't interrupt them. Again, guys, don't think that Tim doesn't know about optics. Just because he doesn't necessarily care what you think of him, doesn't mean that he's not aware of what you think of him.
Conservatives and right-wingers have done that, and so you're just frustrated and don't want to hear it, but I'm not doing that.
It's in the Ahmaud Arbery case and the George Floyd case, you're taking the most extreme cases with the most clear racism, with the most clear murders.
But you're just saying that, Cenk. You've started with, well, those are racist. And now you're at the point of the reasoning being that they're racist. That is on this channel what we call just saying things. You can't just say it's a racism and it becomes racist. It's your job to explain how it is racist. Multiple Media said, bro, the look on Tim's face is priceless when Cenk starts ranting. He's like, hey, I am making bank off of this.
And you're trying to nuance it. And what I'm telling you, Tim, and what has made me uncomfortable in the past about you, which is what I was trying to get past, is that attracts a huge right-wing audience because they want somebody to excuse the death of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. And when you seem to excuse it with your nuance, then they go, yes,
I don't care what
finally somebody's sticking up for white people killing black people. Come on, don't tell me there aren't people in your audience that think that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Inside of the Ages, it's so funny when he does his impression of the right. It's 100% projection. Those people don't actually exist. Those people have reasoned, substantive arguments. The left can't beat those arguments. So they have to make up fake arguments to make the right look dumb. That is what we call a straw man. And indeed, you said the magic word, projection.
Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly. Rabbi's right on it as well. Projection. So this audience wants to hear someone justifying their violence and radicalism. It's just not, you're not going to get Tim. You're not going to drag Tim there. It's not going to happen. So he says you can answer a million questions from the left, logically stating the facts, and they say Trump is telepathically forcing us to do evil on his behalf. If you ask them a question, it's too late. Trump has you. Gotcha. All good. Well, see, it came up, and we all got it, and you got a soundbite out of it. It's all perfect. All is well in the universe.
There's tons of people who think that.
So I'll give you
And again, see how Tim doesn't even feel the need to be like, no, he's like, okay, yeah, sure.
another example. You were critical of me over my statements about January 6th, which I believe you took out of context.
Okay, go ahead.
So I made the point that trespass charges require an initial warning to anybody who's going to be charged, right? You can't allow someone to enter a public building.
But then if you,
Ooh, the fake. That's never a good look.
you just look at a right winger the wrong way, they can blast you with their shotgun. You think that the guys
wait,
like
What? What are you talking about?
so all the guys who are stand your ground. So I'm standing my ground, man. Are they giving warnings? They never give warnings.
Yes. It's called trespassing.
So you just blast away.
In West Virginia, you cannot
This is such a caricature.
just shoot and kill a person.
I know, but you can in a lot of states.
No, you can't.
In Florida, you have the flimsiest excuse will give you stand your ground.
But
If they're on your property, if they're trespassing, yes, property rights are important. Your point?
the excuse has to be fear of bodily harm. It's not just someone trespassed, right? So my point with January 6th was this. My statement was, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there's videos of police opening the doors for people, letting them in and taking selfies.
Right-wing cops who are like, yeah, go get them, guys.
Absolutely. And my argument was, there's different entrances to the building. The people who are violent and rioting should be charged. They will be charged, and they should go to jail. To what degree? I mean, there's a debate on the time frame. I mean, 20 years is probably a bit excessive. On the other side of the building, there's a video of the police opening the doors to a calm group of people walking in and waving to the cops who say explicitly, I don't agree with it, but I support it. I support your right to it, or something to that effect. And I said, those people are going to get acquitted because you can't allow someone into a building to claim it's trespassing.
We're gonna make this into a poll after I end this one before I redo it. This is a tough question. Cenk's over-exaggerated projections or Hassan's smug-ass laugh? Which is worse? I don't know. I'm gonna have to sit on that. For a minute. M169 said, I'd love to show Cenk the footage of the man at the Capitol screaming at the officer to stop the violence, and the officer did nothing. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't do anything. He would just have, oh, well, yeah, well, of course, police are bad. It's like, yeah, okay, well, but that's okay, fine. Put that aside. That's not really what we're talking about. That's all that would happen. That's all that would happen. Except I love when the real racists expose themselves. It's kind of funny in a sad way. Yep. Another person who hates the poll. I have done my job. So the site of the agent said this poll is garbage. It's like picking between eating a turd and a turd with sprinkles. That was the point. That was exactly the point. Stephanie Miller says, Tim is doing great. He says, hi, and this idiot runs off at the mouth. This interview alone ended any chance at him being president. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So he's like this, the South Park episode where the election was between a douche and a turd sandwich. Yep.
Okay. You made the argument that Tim Pool said they're stepping over broken glass and didn't know they were trespassing. I didn't. And it turns out I was correct. Several of these people have already been totally acquitted or partially acquitted due to this fact.
Shout out to Cody Brooks. That isn't every election a choice between turds. Indeed it is. Welcome to the party. Great comment. Hope you enjoy yourself.
Okay, so again, Tim, like January 6th is different than the two cases we were talking about. January 6th, I think, is way more
Sure.
complicated,
Okay.
and I might surprise you with some of my opinions on that in a second. But
Well, you know.
if I got your description of that wrong, then my bad. Okay, and so like but
I was gonna try it, but I can't.
again, you're like. No, that one's too complicated. You're allowed. There's plenty of nuance there, right? And so, if you're saying those particular guys should be acquitted because they were actually let into the building, I agree with you.
The cops should be
Okay.
charged.
Yeah.
Based.
And so, although it's hilarious that there are some right wingers, and again, whenever I say right wingers, guys, don't catch feelings. It doesn't necessarily mean you. I don't mean just you, Tim. I mean the audience, right? It could mean that there are other people in the right wing who feel that way.
Well,
I'm a left winger, and I've told you 100 times about extreme left wingers I don't agree with. Okay. So, in the case of the right wing being absurd on January 6th, is right wing cops let the guys into the building, and then the right wing
MAGA
goes.
hat on.
Yeah, and then the right wingers go deep state left wingers. No, guys,
Yeah, I agree.
that's
It's
not
nonsense.
deep state left wing. It's just a right wing cop letting right wing protesters in.
And people
What about Ray Epps?
were saying they're Antifa because they're wearing hoodies, and I'm like, those are just right wing guys wearing hoodies.
Yeah, it's just right wing guys wearing hoodies. Okay,
Oh, but when it comes to these other stories, you get very angry.
Let me do the nuance on January 6th. So, and it relates to the George Floyd riots. So, Martin Luther King famously said, riots are the voice of the unheard,
Mhm.
right? And I think that that's definitely true in what happened after George Floyd, but I also think that there's some truth to that when it comes to January 6th, which you'll never hear anybody on the left wing say, okay? And so I'm not 1% excusing the hang Mike Pence chance, and I think those
I
guys
agree.
are super dangerous, and I've talked about it before, I'll talk about it 2,000 times after. But for a lot of the right wing, first of all, the guys on the ground they did not, other than the leaders, they did not know that they were a plot to overthrow the American government.
Real quick, shout out to Guam Tech. I think so far we have the comment of the night. MLK said that as a warning, not a rule, not an excuse for you to go out and be a hooligan. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.